That Kai is a manipulative soul. You hear me? Mm.
And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to put my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie?
Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for American Horror Story Cult, and this is episode 7. We start right off. They basically told the story of the woman who actually killed Andy Warhol. Her name is Valerie Solanas. Solanas, I think it's pronounced Solanas, but she's the woman who actually shot and killed Andy Warhol. They told her story. She was crazy. She's crazy. She was actually certifiable. She had trauma and issues. She was molested and raped basically as a child by her. They don't know whether it was her father or stepfather. He might have been either, but by a parent basically. And she just was off, and she suffered mental illness. She had mental illness, and eventually had, went into full on schizophrenia. But they, went through the whole story of it. Her involvement with Andy Warhol, she actually presented a script to him. He blew her off. Basically did one of those little things where he the way they kind of put it was like he didn't take her serious at all. Told her that, she's a woman and women can't be great artists. It's really a thing about men, you know what I mean? And that just did not help. So she really hated men. She did. She hated men. So she literally told him, the last thing she said to him, because she asked him about the script that she had given him, he didn't know what he did with it. He was real shady. Told her he didn't know what he did with it. She said she only had that one copy. He's like, well, I don't know what I did with it. Just real shady. And she told him, down with the patriarchy. Suck my dick, Andy Warhol, honey. And she shot and killed his behind. So that was that. So the next thing we see Beverly. Beverly's coming out from work and runs into, there's this woman in her car. And we end up finding out later the woman, her name is BB Babbitt. Really strange woman, dark hair, looked like Patty Hearst. And these pencil on eyebrows. I said, girl, look at her. She look crazy, honey. And Beverly was telling her, girl, don't come over and fuck with me because I'm not for that bullshit. I don't get into all that. I'll do you, And she explained to her who she was. Told her, she said, you've lost your way, darling. I can see your strings. And basically told her, we as women keep giving away the natural order to a man. Whenever you really get ready to talk about what's really going on with you, let me know. Come to room number 12 at some motel, whatever. Next thing you know, we see Beverly. Beverly her wheels are spinning. She goes to see Kai. She comes in. Ever since all this little thing has gone on with Kai, Kai's riding the high horse, and he's leading the race, as the congressman, trying to win and all that. And of course, America's loving him because he's like this, it's ridiculous. It's working out exactly as he thought. And he's getting a little shady. Now there's these supporters that have showed up, and it very much look like skinheads. They look very white supremacist looking. And the house is it's like a militia, like a little mini militia, and it's all male. All male. You'll see any of the girls around. Beverly's like coming through. They're giving her a hard time. They're laughing at her, which she ain't with. And she told Kai, This doesn't feel like equal power. He told her, you have to trust me. And she said, did Meadow trust you? He said, Meadow was a troubled soul. She's like, okay. She's looking at Kai. She left up out of there. She ended up going that night, going and seeing BB. BB ends up telling Beverly basically everything about her little situation. Beverly takes BB and they meet up with Ivy and Winter. She explains the whole thing. Now we know what the situation was. BB and Valerie were lovers. Okay? They were lovers. Valerie, basically, after she killed Andy Warhol, before that, she was actually running a whole, it was pretty much a ministry. It was a ministry, and it was made up of hookers and homeless women, and basically throwaways, and then what they call gender traders, which were gays. There were only two of them. There were two of them, and she said to them, you could stay for now. But she literally hates men, period. Any form of male, she just had no use for it. But being as though, these two gay guys that were there, they had actually been raped and done and different things like that. So she kind of accepted them in. But they were real shady to them. They had to keep saying that they were scum of the earth and all of this. That, just ridiculous. But they were going for it. Basically, it was a cult of her own. Her little ministry. They go through all that. She ends up going on and she starts to tell about the story. She tells about how they formed it, all that, how the people were following Valerie as she's leading. Then they tell about this murder of this couple. Well, Winter says, excuse me, now see, I was with you till you got to this bullshit. That's not, wrong answer. That's the first couple that was actually murdered by the Zodiac killer that you're talking about. Hey, I done read all about that 9 million times. Now, who do you think you're talking to? And that's what she told. And then that's when BB told. She says, so who is it? She said, have you been paying attention all this time? Have you been listening to what I was saying? Darling, we were the Zodiac killer, honey. So then they go into this whole thing. Here it was, and what she called her movement was scum. It was Society for Cutting Up Men, but they didn't actually cut up men. No men actually got cut up in the beginning. They set out first to do couples because they hated men. Men were the target, and then they went on to women who love men were the target. I said, child, I'm sitting there listening. I said, this crazy bitch basically hates everybody and don't want nobody in the world but lesbians is what it basically was breaking down to. But they just didn't say it, but that's what it was. Everybody had to go except for lesbians, period. I said, oh, okay, girl, she's a nut job. So then the little thing happened with Andy Warhol. She bumps off Andy Warhol. She ends up in a nut house. She's in a nut house. While she's in the nut house, the Zodiac killer stuff, there was a couple more murders. Here, they said there was basically an imposter, which was a man who took up what was actually going on with the scum group. And that became what we know of as the Zodiac killer, okay? And remember, the Zodiac killer never was brought to justice. They never found out exactly who it was. So that was that. So she gets out of the nut house because they were saying that there was this whole thing about the news, because the Zodiac killer would actually contact the news with his bullshit. Okay, so when she gets out, she's completely like, her schizophrenia is really coming forth at that point. So she turns on the two guys that were actually in the group. And that's when I said, oh my gosh, okay, so it's literally all men. She ain't got it for all men. So they ended up going into this whole thing. They started with the little thin guy, and the other little gay guy turned on him and was like, said something, and the other guy ran out and left. And they left the one, and she was like, because she was saying something about them having magazines and looking at men. And he was saying, it wasn't me. And the other guy was like, yeah, it was, but really it was actually him. So he ended up getting what he got. And she was like, you turned on him and you were so quick to do it. Just like men, that's what men do. You're cowards or whatever. Honey, they took him and they cut him up. And that's where you got he was literally sliced into pieces, and his genitalia was stuffed into his mouth and put out there to be found. A mess. A hot mess. Anyway, she ended up taking her ass down because she was getting pissed off because she wasn't getting the notoriety that she wanted. And she felt like somebody was stealing the notoriety away from her. She goes to the police station and confesses that she's a Zodiac. And they're like, yeah, okay. They end up 302ing her and puts her in. She does a little whatever. She ends up getting out. She ends up start talking again. Next thing you know, she's getting crazier and crazier. The group starts to disband. People just start leaving. They're like, we didn't do whatever we did. We didn't got away with it. We're getting away from this crazy bitch because she already get us busted. We're done. So she ended up by herself. Ain't nobody but her and BB. Then BB ended up leaving her. Then her schizophrenia basically really takes over. She literally ends up dying alone. Then got all fat and everything. She died. That was that. By this time, BB has the girls hanging on her everywhere. Okay? And they tell her, we have to strike. And this time we're not going to miss. She convinces them Kai is the problem and he has to go. So then you get a conversation, because this is what I was wondering about Kai and Winter. I'm like, honey, that's his sister, so what's really going to go on? Kai goes and is sitting up there talking to the dead mother and father. Winter comes in. They get to talking. He ends up saying to her, what is this? It's this one of her scum flyers. She's like, oh, that's just some old literature from when I was in school. This, that, thing, and the other. He starts saying about how he's going to copy. It's really cool. And what he has going on is okay, but what they had going on in that scum flyer was cool. And he wants to copy that, but he wants to call it something else, doing exactly what BB was saying that men do. And I'm saying that's really strange. Okay, whatever. So then he goes on. Then he says, what about instead of scum, how about MLWB? And she's like, well, what is that? He's like, men lead, women bleed. She's like, what? So then she goes on and she's like, whatever. And he ends up saying some stuff to her and telling her, all the rest of these people are just followers. I need somebody by my side. You and I are sister and brother. I'm counting on you, Winter. This, that, and she's like, oh, yeah, I got you. Whatever. So then she's getting pissed. You can tell she got pissed with that men lead, women bleed situation. And then he says, who made that up? It was Harrison. I said, something going on. Kai knows something. So he ends up going on. And then the last thing Kai says to her, tell the girls I said hi. I said, this little manipulative punk, honey. Next thing you know, they end up going. They set up Harrison. They get Harrison, tie Harrison up, and knock him out, tie him up. Then when he comes to, basically tells him about, what is this, all this shit about men lead, women bleed, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I never said that. I didn't say that. I didn't make that up, this, that, the other. They were like, you're a liar. You're a liar, this, that, the other. And then they're saying, you just accept that you're weak. You're a gay man. You know what it is to be misused and thrown away. He's like, he said, I'm a man. He said, wrong answer. Baby, they cut him up. Cut him up. And guess who was doing the cutting? Ivy. I said, okay. So all of that went on. Then the next thing you know, you see Beverly reporting it. And Beverly throws subliminals to Kai, basically, over the news, saying, is this just something? Is this just, an isolated event? Or is this what's to come next? I said, oh, here she goes with her bullshit again. And Kai is sitting there, and you don't know who he's talking to, but he says, they're at their best when they're angry. And baby, when the camera pans over, he's sitting right there with that damn BB. I said, oh, he is so manipulative. He was behind all of it. He just literally treats them like sock puppets. Got them all. I said, oh, he's a mess, honey. And he's just getting more and more dangerous. He just brings other people in to do all his dirty work. Because that baby was like, aren't we all? Child, I about fell out this chair. I said, that guy is too much, honey. He makes you just want to punch him in the back of his head. Manipulative little punk. But anyway, that was it. It was good. It was a good episode. Very, yeah, Ryan Murphy, you did it. Very, very Ryan Murphy. Very, very what I fell in love with American Horror Story with. All twisted, honey. I liked it. All right, so I will talk to you guys next week. Later.